Realistically, top 10, what you're seeing in mock drafts, let's just say the Lions do kind of invest one pick in a player or one pick and want to move up into the top 10. Who's a player that you say, all right, that makes the Lions a little bit more competitive with the Eagles and Commanders and 49ers? Who puts them over the top in the top 10 of what you're hearing in terms of the top 10 overall prospects? Who could you realistically swing for? You're not going to do a quarterback. You're not going to
No.
do, um, you're not going to do maybe Travis Hunter or Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward. Would you swing for an Abdul Carter? Would you swing? I think he might go also have a chance to go number one. Maybe if he drops into 7-8, something happens. Or do you say, does a Mason Graham get up to that high? Does a player that you've seen as an edge rusher besides Abdul Carter fit the top 10 mold? Who realistically in the top 10 could the Lions maybe peek at and say, okay, if the question is, if we're sitting down and Brad asks you, regional scout Christian, who could we swing for that might be interesting? Who would you say?
That's a great question. I think that with the parity in the edge rusher department, I think that some of these guys who could go top 10 could also be available at 15 based on just how things go over the next month. I think that James Pierce is a guy who is very, very interesting. He ran a 4.47 40, just flying down the field. But is he only a designated pass rusher? Like, where do teams see his value? If he's a guy who is slated to go top 10, which he has in some different mock drafts, but he seems like a consensus, maybe top 15 guy. That's a guy I'd try to go up and get. I think if you look at the cornerback position, I think Jahdae Barron, who is one of my favorite players in the class, is a candidate to maybe slide into the top 10. If because Will Johnson didn't test, the consensus on Will Johnson maybe is that he's starting to slip a little bit, and Jahdae Barron could be the first corner off the board. That's a guy who, if you really want to stock up on young cornerbacks who are talented and have good skills with the ball in the air, Jahdae Barron's a guy I really, really like. Um, if not Pierce, obviously Mike Green is a good one. If Abdul Carter gets out of the top 7 or 8, I love Abdul Carter. I don't think he gets out of the top 7 or 8. I don't think he gets out of the top three currently, but I that would be a guy I would love to go up and get if I was the Lions. But yeah, there's a lot of different options, and really what I'm excited to see about this draft class is it seems like it's kind of a little bit unpredictable. Like you have the quarterbacks who, because of their position, are projected to go early, but you read that scouts may not be as high on either of those two as they were on all six of the guys last year in that class. So where do they go? Will Campbell, the offensive lineman from LSU, who was excellent as a tackle in college, has short arms, and now everybody's trying to make him a guard. And if the concerns about his arm length are legit, how far does that make him drop? If you're going to go offensive line and you want to get the best one, and Will Campbell sitting there at 8 or 9, why not slide up and try to get him? So to me, there's just so many different ways this could go at this stage, and it's going to start to solidify throughout the pro day circuit and as people start to put more things out there. But I think right now it's so unpredictable that a guy that you see as a top 10 guy could be available at 15. So yeah, I mean, ton of options. Guys like Shamar Stewart, who has now worked his way into being a projected top 10 pick. He's a guy who kind of fits the Lions' versatility aspect of it with his size and ability to slide inside or play off the edge. So that's kind of the long-winded way of saying there's a bunch of different guys where if they're sitting there at 8 or 9, why not go up there and try to make a play on it?
Yeah, no doubt that being aggressive is, I think, realistically, the aggression probably would happen between 15 and 20. I
Yeah.
think then going up and get because the values there, it's such a deep class at a lot of different spots. But I think that if you find, I think the player that maybe they do it for is potentially Gray Zabel or somebody that they fall in love with, Donovan Jackson, who they've met with. I think that an offensive lineman, if they feel like, okay, someone is ahead of them, maybe, I think the fun part would be a lot of people are mocking Donovan Jackson to the Rams. If you feel like you just need to move up a couple spots just to jump them to get the
Mm-hmm.
player that you want, I think that's also a fair assessment of what's going on. I think it's fun. I think that the opportunity to discuss at least a lot of different players are very intriguing.